our session called Reporting Wars. This is a session that we did back at Convergence, Convergence being the annual Microsoft event, where we bring people together across all the Dynamics products and present sessions on great areas of the Dynamics SL product. Now, this past year we did do a theme, and this theme was on reality TV shows based on the popular Storage Wars type of idea where you get an option to see all your different options. We thought Reporting Wars kind of made sense, and well, where does that come from? Well, if you look around your Dynamics SL solution, you have many different solutions, options for you choosing exactly how to get information out and disseminate to people within your company. So what we wanted to do is kind of have our own war today, and the way we're going to go about this is we're going to talk about each of these 5 different options of presenting information to people inside your company. So what we're going to do, we'll go through each of them, talk about them. Some of them you'll be very familiar with, so we're not going to go into an in-depth discussion on some of these. Some of these will be brand new to you, so we'll give you up to speed on some of them. And then at the end of that, what we're going to do is after we talk about all these different reporting options, we're going to go through a series of scenarios that we're going to put up on the screen. And we're going to go through and choose what we feel is kind of the best or the best solution or solutions to help you in that scenario. The whole goal here is, as you're going forward, and in the past when someone said, hey, I need some reports, it kind of really, there was only one area you'd probably go to, and that might be a crystal report that runs inside of Dynamics SL. But obviously we've continued and will continue to add new options here. So we will go through those scenarios and give you those options for you to choose. And at the end, we'll also have a couple slides that are what I'm calling reference slides. And the idea behind them is to give you, okay, you've got the scenario, you need to create a form for a specific need. What's my solution? What is the option I want to have? What are the things I need to think about? Licensing, what needs to be set up? What do I need to have? So we've kind of put a few slides together on that as well. Now, as Melanie said, I will be going through my presentation, and then at the end, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them, and we will review them at the end of the session. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. Well, the first one we're going to talk about is one that I think if you are a Dynamics SL user, you are familiar with. It's the old ROI screen, or as many of you may or may not know, the Report Options Interpreter. That's what ROI happens to stand for. Now, what is that? Well, that's the standard interface that we're very used to when we run a report in Dynamics SL. Now, some of you are familiar with some of these. We're going to quickly touch on just some of these different tabs that are involved in the ROI screen. The first one, obviously, is the generic report tab that will come up and allow you to choose which of the different reporting formats that you want to use. Now, the idea is that for each report out there, there are usually multiple formats. In this case, we're looking at a unposted versus posted GL transactions, and also ones that are multi-currency or not. You can put things in like the report date if you happen to need that printing out on your report properly, or if you happen to have a report that is accepting things like periods, or if you want to print out just the first couple pages of report or copies and so forth. Probably nothing very new there. You're probably familiar with that. Now the second section that we're talking about here is the sort area. And this is an area that not a lot of people take advantage of. When a report is written, they are making different sorts. Like I want to group by the company and ledger. Then I want, in this particular case, I want to then do it by posted. The GL transaction is posted, period entered, journal type, and so forth. And so when the report is written, it's written to view a certain way. But with this screen right here, you're able to go ahead and choose and change things. When do I want to view a page break? Do I want to turn off the sort ascending? Do I want to change it? So you do actually have some ability to go in and make that report look different based on what you set up here under the Sort tab. The next is the standard interface for choosing a specific value. So in this case, I only want to see where the account is equal to 2210. So I have the ability to go in here and say, yep, this is what I want. One thing to note, of course, is that for all of you that have used this is that you do need to know a little bit about the actual underlying database. So you need to know that for this particular report that you're running, that it's the GLTran table, and the name of the field for account is ACCT. So there is, again, we do have a lookup list to allow you to choose them, but you do need to have a little bit of knowledge of what's on the back end to be able to use the select properly. The next item that we have here is that we also have company selections. As you're familiar or not, Microsoft Dynamics SL is used a lot of times because it does have some great multi-company functionality. That's whether you're defining multiple companies within one database or multiple companies but different databases. And this functionality here allows you to select the companies that you want to go ahead and run this report in. If you happen to want to just see for the current company you're logged in, or select a specific company, or have it for all. So you have that ability, flexibility in your report. Now, there are other tabs on there, and there are other ways that you can sort and select, and I'm happy to announce that earlier this year, we released our latest version of a reports or documents that we're calling the report assistants, and they are there to assist you. Now, the idea is that it will assist you in looking at all the different reports that are available, and then talking to you about, okay, well, here's the report, here's the sort and selects, here's the ones you should be able to use for this report. But also what it does as well is it will go through these different modules like payables, receivables, and the others that you see listed here. And it will show you sometimes some examples of what the report looks like, and sometimes it'll then go into and show you the layout. But then it also has this thing, and I don't think I have a picture here, it kind of has a, I like to call a spider diagram, no better way to tell you it, because a lot of times when you're looking at a specific screen in SL, you might say, hey, you know what, I'd like to sort on that field on this screen, but I'm not really sure what is that field. Well, there is another page in the report assistance that will show you a screen, and it will tell you the field name of all the fields that you are looking at. This way, you will easily be able to go, oh, I'm in the journal transaction screen, and it tells me that this field is GLTran.ACCT. Excellent. I'll use that when I go ahead and use my ROI screen and select the proper values. So these are available to you. If you go out to Customer Source and you search on Report Assistance, you will see them, and you can download those and start using those today. Now, some newer and other ways to search and find and disseminate data in SL was around the Quick Query product. Now, Quick Query was built and released in SL 2011 as a way to help you find and filter data that's in your database. Right now, if someone were to ask you a question and you didn't have a Quick Query, you would probably go to a couple different SL screens. Maybe you'd go to a Crystal report and try to do some sort and selecting and finding the information. This tool was basically built to give you a interface to that information so you as an end user could filter the data and find the information you need. And we'll take a look at here in a second at what this looks like, but an example of some of the benefits of using a Quick Query tool is that, as we just spoke of, you know, when you're looking for the GLTran account, it's gltran.acct. Well, wouldn't it be better if it just had the word account, or if you're looking for a vendor ID, that instead of saying vendor.vendID, it just said vendor ID? So we have actually, with this Quick Query tool, been able to create views into your database that are actually using names that you and I can actually interact with and understand. The next is that when you are looking at this information, which we'll see in a second, you can also filter the data. So I can say, same thing, show me where the account is equal to this value, and it will display it on the screen right away. You don't have to run a report. And then once you get to the point where you like the filter that you have, you can actually save that filter and use it at a later date. Now, where would we be without being able to export? Well, that functionality is built into there as well. So find the data you need into your Quick Query and export it out and use it later in Excel. Other areas is it will link back to a Dynamics SL screen. So I have the ability to find the data and then drill back to the detail or to the maintenance screen associated to it. And these quick queries, which we're about to take a quick look at, are all based on something called SQL views. SQL views are things that we are shipping the SQL views out of the box. A little over 100 different SQL views come with the product, but a nice thing about a SQL view is that you as an end user or using your partner, you can create your own custom SQL views. So you'll be able to basically, if you need the information and you want to be able to put it into a quick query, more than likely you will be able to get that data out into a view to be able to view it. So here is quick query at a quick view here. Again, it has the standard SL user interface at the top, but you'll notice that in this particular screen it has a slightly different look. In this case, we are looking at the journal transaction quick query, showing me all the different journal types, batch numbers, transaction types. So first take a look at that. Those are actual names. And when I'm doing my sorting, selecting, you can see my where clause where journal type contains the value A. Pretty simple. I can understand that. I can add as many filters and all this stuff that you would usually want to be doing in a report. Now it can be done here through our quick queries. One thing you'll notice is I can go and do some other things to this particular screen. I can choose the columns, and we'll show you that here in a second. I can choose which columns display. I can rename a column. Let's say, again, we didn't like journal type. We're calling it something different, or account, we want to call it something different. At your specific company, you can rename that column. And you can also remove that column. Hey, I don't need this column on my report. That's fine that you build it that way, but I don't need it. Now, again, that choose column feature allows us to do it all at once. We can see on the left-hand side, here are all the fields that were created for this particular view. And on the right-hand side, these are just the ones that we've chose to display in the default quick query. Again, I can use the standard wizard type of interface to add and remove columns and then move them around in the proper order. But you can also do that on the screen itself by just dragging columns around as you like. A couple other things you can do. You can copy rows, so I could select numerous different rows and copy them and paste them into an Excel document. I can also, as I said, have the ability that if I choose a specific line item, in this particular case, we can drill back to the chart of accounts or sub-account for that, or we could have set it up that we could drill back to the original journal transaction. So you have that flexibility to be in a quick query and jump back into an actual SL screen to get to the source transaction. You also have the ability to export information out of here. So if you see the top of the quick query screen, you'll see the little Excel icon, and that will allow me to take the data that's in this current report, this current quick query, and drop it right into an Excel document. So I've got all the values that were in there are now in my quick query. I've got all the details. I can go ahead and start saving that and using that data now for other purposes, whether I need to write it up, need to do something else with it. So very, very powerful. And just because you're nice enough people to spend some time with me today, I will give you a heads up that in the future, in the next version of Microsoft Dynamics SL, we will continue to enhance the features around quick queries and Excel to make the connection between Excel and your data even better. So stick around in the coming year to hear some more, or in the coming couple of months here to hear some more data about, well, what exactly could that be? So quick query has become a very, very popular tool for all of our users because it is enabling you to take data and find it in a quicker and a more faster way. So the next thing says, people come to us, well, one of the things about quick query is the quick query tool itself actually runs inside of Microsoft Dynamics SL. So the next question comes is, well, how do I get that information out to people that I don't want to be in Microsoft Dynamics SL? And that comes up to our next tool that's been available, which is the Business Analyzer. Now, this really focuses on that, pretty much that question that I just had. You, as the accounting person, and let's say that's me on the right on the right-hand side, I'm the accounting person. I hold the data, I have the information, I have reports, I now have quick queries of great information that's available about our financials. Maybe if I'm a project, distribution, inventory, I have the data, but I'm not willing to let the person on the left just willy-nilly jump into Dynamics SL. So I'd like a better way to distribute my information to that person. Well, the way that we've come up with is a new tool called the Business Analyzer. Now what it is a graphic interface to your information. So it's providing me a graphical interface to your SSRS reports. So in this case, we're seeing sales order balance due charts that are now being displayed outside of Dynamics SL and being stored in the Business Analyzer. So now we can see those reports, and the nice thing about this is this is being distributed outside of SL, so they do not need to log in. So let's talk about it. This Business Analyzer, what is it and what does it do? Well, the first thing is it is built to be a dashboard for your end users. So the idea is that they would run the Business Analyzer locally on their machine, open it up, and they'd be able to see a set of reports that have been assigned to them. So we do the idea of a role-based. So we can assign, it says Jeff is the CFO, or he's the payables manager, or the sales manager, and these are the reports that he should be looking at, or she. So in this case, I'm looking at my sales order, and I can take a look and view those different reports. Now, what these reports are actually on the back end, nothing super crazy. It's something that we all have, and it's something called SQL Server Reporting Services, or SSRS for short. Now, we are all using SQL because that's where all of our data is stored for Dynamics SL. So this is just their built-in reporting tool, and we are basically being able to take that information and have it displayed in a nice tool with a nice front end. So with that, we would install this product across our company so people could get access rights to the reports. They also have the ability to interact on these reports. One of the features that it's built into it is its ability to interact with something called Link. And I'll show you that here in a second. But basically what Link allows you to do is to go ahead, and it is your instant messaging, your calling, your sharing of screens, your presenting. Link provides you all that functionality in one tool, and you can actually use that across your company, and the nice Business Analyzer will interact with it. And lastly but not least, this product is built again to deploy independently. What I mean by that is it does not require that you have a Microsoft Dynamics SL full installation on your desktop. So it is built to be installed by itself and put on the people's desktops that need it. So with that, what's the next thing that we have? We're going to take a look at the quick query here in a second. The Business Analyzer. One thing too, just to note, you know what, I'll come back to that. The next thing we're going to do is talk about how you actually can build those reports, but the first thing I want to do is we're going to go ahead and jump over here, and I'm going to show you a demonstration of what the Business Analyzer does. All right. So if I switch over, and please hold 1 second, you are not missing anything. I am just in the process of moving over to my demonstration image. All right, so now I have it up and running. So this is a Business Analyzer demonstration that's going to walk you through, well, how do I go ahead and actually view these reports, and what are all these buttons across the screen going to do for me? So let's go ahead and take a look. First thing is that we are looking at this first report, which is the total amounts in accounts payable, and it's showing me a value. Now, this is actually, to give you information, this is actually a screenshot, or not a screenshot, but a rendering of this report so I can get the latest information. So if I click on this first button here, it's showing report information. It's first going to tell me, well, what is the database that this is actually running against? It's telling me it's running against the Contosa US app database. Important, why? Well, in the case that you might have multiple databases set up, you know what the values you're seeing for. Where did this 938,000 come from? Well, it came from the Contosa app database. The next is, when was this report rendered? This tells me the date and time that it happened. The rendering will usually update as frequently as you need, but it's basically telling you, so in case you just did something right now, you can tell whether that would be showing up or not. And the last is, where is this report located? As I talked about, this is using SSRS reports. SSRS reports are usually hosted on a report server somewhere, and this is just telling me the particular location of this report. Now, the next button that we have after this is, what if I want to interact with this report? Well, what do you mean interact? What can I interact with? It's a picture, Jeff. Well, a lot of times reports are written so that this is showing you a nice, pretty picture, the nice graphic that grab your attention. They go, whoa, AP's at 938,000. Let's see what that's actually made up of. And that's what this next button comes in. And this is our View Report button. It takes me into that actual report. I don't have to surf for it or try to find it. And then if this report has been written to be interacted, which I happen to know it has, it's been to be able to take you from that high-level picture, and now I can drill down to the summary. Now I'm seeing all the different vendors that make up that value. And I might say, ooh, look at AdventureWorks, that's a high amount. Let's see what is making up that. And again, this has been written as well for me able to drill down into the details, and now I can see where that total came out. Wow, there's a big thing in July that happened. So this example right here, where Business Analyzer is your pretty picture, it's the graphic, it's the grab your attention, hey, there's something going on that needs your attention. Then using the View button to open it up, see the data set, I see what's going on, and being able to drill down and see the details, to me is the huge value add of the Business Analyzer, and one that I think, as you kind of see it here, that kind of makes a lot of sense. It's giving people who wouldn't be an SL a reason to get to the details, but it keeps them out of your actual product. But again, when they need it, they can get to it. The visual gives them the warning sign, hey, you need to look at this, and it's a great way to get people to start paying attention to the things that are important in their company and in their area. Now, the next button that we have after that is called the Edit Report button. Now, this report only becomes important here, obviously, if you happen to have access rights to edit reports. Obviously, if I didn't have it, nothing would pull up here, but I happen to be, of course, logged in for my demonstration as someone who's set up to be a report writer. Now, the nice thing about it is that clicking on the Edit button would allow me to open it. Let's say I didn't like the font, I didn't like the graphic we're using, input whatever that might be. You can make changes to it, save it, and it will publish it back out there, and you can start interacting with it. The next button after that is the Copy Report Image. As we said, this is just a picture or a rendering of the report. Again, it will update frequently here, but if I wanted to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm getting ready and I have a question on this, I want to go ahead and email this to somebody. So I could go ahead and click on that button, go into my email, and go ahead and paste it. Now I've gone ahead and said, hey, Craig, let's review this chart, and I can send it right to him. Another thing I could do if I was creating a presentation like we're doing today, I could go ahead and do the same thing and go ahead and copy in a picture of this particular item in my presentation. Now, the next button that we have after that is the Change Date button. Now, in some reports, you can actually have it set up that the actual date of the report will drive what information is shown. So maybe you have something that's very time sensitive and you want the dates to drive what you're seeing. Could be sales, could be something like that. Using this Change Date button will allow you to interact with the report, change the date, and then the data will automatically update. Now, this particular one does not have a change date functionality, so this will not do anything for me. The next button is the Select Company button. Now, again, we're familiar with the idea of companies and having multiple companies. This way, I can see that, yes, I'm seeing this value, and it's for all the different companies out there, but I can go ahead and turn them off. And let's just choose one, like CBS, Contosa Business Solutions. Click OK, and now I am just seeing the value for that one particular company. So you have that ability to interact if you have that set up. And the last button that we're showing here is the Start Communication button. The idea behind this button, it is the ability to go ahead and assign a particular person to a report. Why would I do that? Well, let's say that we've set up for the total amounts and accounts payable report that if you ever have a question on the report, the person you need to talk to is Craig Dewar. So what that does is when I go ahead and go to this communications area, it pops up his name and says, yep, you're looking at the accounts payable report. Well, I know who you want to talk to is Craig Dewar, and I can start talking to them. Before we do that, let's take a look at how do we get him added. Well, a couple different ways. We can use the first button here, which is Add Contact to Your Report, and that's going to allow me to pull up a screen where I can see all the different contacts, and obviously for demonstration purposes we just have a few, but I can go ahead and choose, let's go ahead and add Tracy. Click OK, and if I go back there, we'll see that now Craig and Tracy are now assigned to this report. Other ways, for those of you who already have Lync and are familiar with it, you could use the other contact abilities to use the standard Lync interface to be able to choose and add Wendy if we wanted to. We're going to cancel that and jump back here. So how do I interact with them? Again, you've showed me how to set it up, great, but what's the end user's experience now that we've got it set up? Well, all I need to do is click on that button. It shows me who's available. I see that Tracy's is not green, which means to me in the Lync world that she is not online. So I can double click on Craig. It'll pull place, and I can go ahead and start typing in a message to him. And let's go ahead and send that to him. Now, he's getting the IM, where you get your IMs today, your messages today. He says, sure, we can go ahead. And he wants me to share my screen with him. Well, I can go up to the Share tab, share my desktop, and now we can go ahead and start our conversation. I can start a phone conversation with him. I can start a video conversation, whatever I need. So it's a great way to interact with people and a great way to see that, again, Lync is a great way to interact with people inside your company. Now, before I go forward and before you get too worried, oh boy, we don't have Lync, don't worry. Lync is not a requirement. Obviously, it's a requirement if you're going to use the communication feature, but it's not required to use the Business Analyzer. So you have that ability to go ahead and interact with it, but you do not have to use it. If you guys hold on one second here, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my PowerPoint presentation, and we will continue on. All right, we're back here live on my deck. So the one thing which is kind of neat, and that we're not going to go through a detailed on this one, but there's a really neat feature that was added in SL 2011 Feature Pack 1. And it came around the idea of, well, Business Analyzer is great, Jeff, and we do ship a little over 30 different reports that come out of the box in Feature Pack 1. But I don't care if I made 35 or 300, it doesn't matter. You're going to have a need to create your own custom reports. And so as soon as you put Business Analyzer, what's the first question you get? Well, do you have a report that does insert their need? Well, we're really excited to announce that one of the things that we were able to do, or development was able to do for us, is to enhance the Quick Query Analyzer viewer to be able to add the ability to generate your own report. So right next to the Excel icon is another report. It's a little building icon. If I click on that, it's going to take me to a report generation wizard, which if you've seen any of the Feature Pack 1 demos, you've seen this a lot. But basically what it allows me to do is start from scratch and start building the detail report, build the summary report, and build the graphic report, all by using a interactive wizard, which I don't really have to know too much about. And once I build all those items, the big benefit of that is that at the end I can take that Quick Query report and turn it into an actual report that's viewed and displayed inside the Business Analyzer. So very, very cool abilities. If you haven't seen that yet, I definitely recommend you take a look at that. Now, one thing to give you guys some heads up around the Business Analyzer, the nice thing about the Business Analyzer is this particular product has been built to work across GP, AX, SL. It's built to work across all the products. Now, why is that a benefit? Well, the big benefit is that means that they're continuing to invest in it, and you don't have to wait for the next version of SL for them to add more things. Case in point, when we released SL 2011 Feature Pack 1 last September, the only Business Analyzer that was available was the one I just showed you. It's the one that runs in Windows 7. Obviously, since then, Windows 8 has come out. The great new interface, great new way to interact with your data, and the nice thing about it is that we at Microsoft have created a Business Analyzer application. So there is an app for that. So if I go and search on my Windows 8 machine, and search the store, it will show me that there is actually an application out there. So if you've got your Windows 8 machine up and running now, or you get home and you got your Windows 8 machine, go ahead and do a search. You will see it's out there and it's available to download for free. Once you get it downloaded, again, it can drop an icon right on your desktop like you see here. And it has a slightly different look. You remember we had the idea of the one item and then the items across the bottom. This is using more of the Windows 8 tile idea here, and we've got the different items that are out there, but the same interaction. If I click on one of those, it'll pop up, and I can look at my info, I can copy it, I can view it, I can edit it, I can go to link, change my company. All those things that we just talked about in the demonstration before are also available to you here. Now I'm going to take a second here just to talk a little bit. Okay, this is great. It says it's free. What is the licensing needs around here? So at a minimum, if you are giving and having people install and run the Dynamics Business Analyzer, they will need, in the Dynamics SL world, to get access to that using what we call our light user license in the BRL world. So if you're on Business Essentials or Advanced Management, you do need to purchase a light user. And if you have that light user license, that will give you access to the Business Analyzer. Now, if you already have the full client on your machine, you then also get access to being able to run the Business Analyzer on your desktop as well. So you do need a license. Again, it is free to download and install the app, but to actually use it, you need to make sure that you do have your light users. All right, so we've kind of touched on some things that happened over the last year. Here's another thing that came out with SL 2011. And this is called our Business Information Optimization product. This is a product built, have it come up here. It was called, some people, the name we call it a lot of times is BIO 2011 for Microsoft Dynamics SL 2011. Now, where we were showing you before the ROI screen, which you're very familiar with, transactional type data. We talked about the quick query, which is looking at transactions and turning them into a way to quickly get to them and filter them. And then the Business Analyzer can do a little bit of analytics. It can take some of that information and turn into those transactions and turn into pretty pictures that you can look into. But where I see BIO coming in is this is something that we're truly calling operational analytics. Now, what does that mean, and give me an example of what that might be? Well, those other type of items, we're very used to looking things in a modular base. So I'm looking at general ledger transactions. I'm looking at accounts payable transactions, project transactions. But with operational analytics, we're kind of really breaking the idea of looking at transactional data and looking kind of at the whole. Let's remove the idea of things are broken up into different tables and give you the holistic view of something. Let's take a look at all of your customers and let's look for the trends. Let's look for the customers that used to be your top customers that are now starting to spend less with you. Let's look at the inventory items that were hot last year, but now we're seeing that we're not using, that we're not selling as much. Let's take a look, again, input your need. Look at the projects. How are we doing? There's a lot of reports that we have for projects, but there's some type of items that are hard to provide you with the standard reports that we have. Maybe being able to do a P&L across all your different areas. This is something that the BIO product does. Again, the way you interact with it is an interactive interface, meaning that it is not just a picture and ability to drill down. This is an actual interface that allows you to switch things around, and I'll show you that here in a quick little demonstration we'll do. So you can actually interact with it, say, great, love the data, but you know what if we move this to here, that to there, and so forth? You have that. And it is built definitely for the non-technical user to interact with the data. Now, I talked about removing the idea of specific areas like different modules. How do we do that? Well, it's using something called a cube. It basically takes all the data and puts it into one area. And we have, with the latest version, we've got less and less cubes because we're finding better ways to store more data in more areas. So a great option. If you haven't seen it, there is definitely something you can look at with your partners. So it does provide some ideas. It can create dashboards. What you're seeing here is a series of different views that have been put onto one page for a particular user so they can interact with it. So you do get that idea of a dashboard, kind of like with the BI product that we had here. I'm sorry, with Business Analyzer. But let's take a look at some of the things that you can do. Here's an example. We're just going to show you a couple quick ones here. Again, different ways to view the information. You're looking at things like total, like they're doing expenses by time period. So you can see your cost of goods, salaries. You can see what it's done in this particular case is it's taken the items and it makes them larger or smaller based on the dollar amounts that they have. So this is one way that you can take a particular report, particular set of data, and turn it something that graphically is appealing to someone. Here's a one. It's a standard bar graph. It's your revenue and net income trends. You can see we can do this over many different years. It gives you a nice idea of where you are. Billing revenue expense trends. Again, you can look at across the board. This is an interesting one. We're able to see the total amounts for your projects across multiple projects against multiple projects, because you could have one customer here, but having multiple projects set up, you have a nice, better way here to see it across all those different areas. You can also do the standard with a business analytic tool, be able to give you, in this case, you can see actual visuals inside of areas, so you can see things looking at recent percentage of totals that are over a certain amount. You could say, hey, when it gets over a certain amount, make it display inside this grid, inside this cell, so I can see the information as well. So lots of different ways. If you haven't seen business information optimization for the bio product, I definitely recommend you talking to your partner about this. I've got a whole set of information, but basically based on our time today, I just want to give you the high level. But basically think of it as a way to interact, and I apologize, I thought I had one of my demonstrations up here on here that would show you how it works, but unfortunately I don't. But definitely speak with your partners about that to understand the value add of the bio product. The next area that we're going to talk about is the Management Reporter. And Management Reporter, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, is the new replacement for FRX. So if you are currently using FRX right now, this is the new version of FRX called Management Reporter. Basically what they've done is they've created a brand new product based on all the FRX ideas, the idea of rows and columns and trees, and putting them together in a Windows interface. When I say that is that it is true Windows. The feeling and the touch, the feel, the interaction that you're used to in products like Dynamics SL and other Windows products are available to you here. Again, as you're familiar with, as an FRX, it is the go-to product that we ship with, that's available with SL, that you're able to purchase and use for your financial reporting. Now, I don't think we need to do an FRX demonstration. Obviously, you've seen that before, but there were some things that have been released recently that I wanted to make sure that you knew about. Management Reporter 2012 is available, and one of the things that they're doing with the Management Reporter product is that they are putting out cumulative updates. Basically, right now, it's currently every quarter. And what these cumulative updates do is they provide additional functionality that wasn't there. They obviously provide any hot fixes that have been there since the last release. And again, enhancements. Now, with the latest cumulative update, which as of this date, I think if I'm not mistaken, is cumulative update number 6, that is available now. A couple things have been added over the past year. And I'm going to say this out kind of to give you a heads up. If you had looked at Management Reporter before and were having some issues with it, always check back because they're always adding some functionality. The parity between FRX and Management Reporter is not 100% at this time, but they're getting closer every day, and they're adding new features that make it at par or above what FRX might have had. So definitely look into that. But one of the areas that we were having was the connection between Dynamics SL and Management Reporter. There were some, to be frank, there were some speed issues. And what that meant is that when you run an FRX report, and you ran a Management Reporter report, there would definitely be a difference in the time it took the Management Reporter report to generate. So what we have installed here in this report, Cumulative Update 4, came out with something called the Data Mart. And the Data Mart is a new way of storing data from Microsoft Dynamics SL that makes it quicker for Management Reporter to read. So that came out in Cumulative Update 4. Definitely something to look at. It has most definitely helped us with the report generation speed. People are definitely seeing the benefit of moving over to the latest cumulative updates, and it's making Management Reporter more and more useful, along with some new functionality. Now, one of the new bits of functionality that came out last year with Management Reporter was the ability to share reports on a SharePoint server. Now, what this came in reference to or response to was that the fact that in FRX we had something called Report Server. And the idea behind Report Server is that you could take information and put it on a server that people could view. So we could take those FRX reports, and put them out there. Well, now we have something similar inside of Management Reporter now, where you can take those reports and put them out to a SharePoint server. So let's take a quick look at this new functionality. So just to point out some things, again, for those of you who might not have seen Management Reporter yet, again, you're going to see a very similar idea. So if you are familiar with your FRX reports, they will be able to take your FRX reports and use a tool to help convert them over the best that they can to a Management Reporter. You're going to have the same ideas of rows, reports, columns, trees, all that information. So you have all those different areas. And under the tab that we have here for output and distribution, you do now have the ability, and you can't see the full link here, but this is actually on a SharePoint site. So along with generating the report, storing it in a library for you to view, you can also have it put it out to a specific location on a SharePoint site. In this case, you can see in this particular one, it went ahead and put it out there. And if I click on this, I can go ahead and view it. But before we do it, we can also put that information into a nice Windows 8 desktop. And if I click on that report, you'll also see that I can actually interact with Management Reporter in the Internet browser. So it has been built to actually run inside an Internet browser. You still need to have proper licensing, which in Microsoft Dynamics SL case would be a light user, to be able to interact with it and get that information. And you can even view and drill down into the information just like you would in a standard Management Reporter report. So again, it's available now. So if you haven't gotten onto Management Reporter yet, I definitely suggest talking to your partner about it to see exactly when you could move up to it. Obviously, the requirement would be you do need to be on SL 2011 at least to get onto Management Reporter. So keep that in mind as you start moving up. So now this is the part of the session we've kind of, well, I wouldn't say briefly, we've touched on all the different options. So now we're going to start talking about some of the different areas, and this is the bidding area. So again, you will get access to this deck through Melanie, and she'll be able to get this out to you, but this is a nice way to kind of give us, okay, what are the areas of options, things that we have out there, and what are the options that we have? So for example, if you needed to print on a custom form, so you have a AP check, 1099 form, a customer invoice, something special, maybe something new, what is the best solution? Well, we would point you to ROI, the RO interface. Using Crystal or using the SSRS reports, that's your best tool for Dynamics SL if you need to do this kind of printing. The next one is if you're looking for trends, looking for customer inventory, vendor trends. These are not things I'm looking for transactional. These I want to see the trends over the past year. And the best areas to go to would be our bio product to look for trending. Also, top 10 salespersons, top 10 billable employees. Again, best ways to do it, we would definitely recommend that the bio product is the best way to do that. Now, technically, you can look these things up within your ROI product, so you could go ahead and create an ROI or create a view into those. But out-of-the-box bio is going to get to you faster, but again, those asterisks mean it is possible to find this information out there, but the quickest, best way we feel is bio. Next one is you want to load customer or vendor document. So we're looking for a vendor invoice. What was the last invoice number for that customer? What's the document date of that March? What was the document date on that March invoice that we had out there? Well, we would definitely say that your best option would be QuickQuery. You have that ability to pull up the data, filter on specific information, find the information, and get the details that you need. Again, could you do that in ROI? Sure, but we find that quick query to be the best. Next one is time entered by all employees. How much time did Jeff enter for the week? How much time did Kim take off? And has Kim completed her time card for the week? Well, got a bunch of different options here, and we didn't want to limit any of them. Obviously, ROI, and you can do this in quick query as well now. You can be able to search that information as well as bio. So it's a little bit of a tie, but again, based on your needs and based on what you have, you do have the ability to find it across those 3 different areas. Next one, financial reporting. Total sales for 2012. Which one of my segments actually had the most revenue for February, and so forth. What are the best ways to find that? Well, again, using the financial tool that comes with it, Management Reporter is the area that we probably push you to. Though we would put in an asterisk to bio because a lot of this information is also available to bio. It is not meant to usually generate financial reports. Can you get the data out and use it in those situations? More than likely, yes. But again, the focus, if it is an official financial report, what would we be using? Well, mostly we would probably push it towards Management Reporter. Next one is around billing. What has been billed? How much of Jeff has been billed for January? How much did I invoice for that project in that month? How much material did I use that month? Well, kind of go across the board. Again, ROI, probably you're familiar with trying to find these things. With Quick Query, you have some functionality to get to that information as well as bio. Bio is a nice tool to use for that as well. Next, project P&L by customer. I want to see not just one of the projects and how we're doing. I want to see all the project P&Ls for this particular customer. Well, we're happy to say that it's pretty nicely done here with the bio product because it does really remove those lines of, again, this is one project, this is one information. You can actually group and sort quite well across the bio product. Next one, end-of-month analysis, AR aging balances, open AP documents, unreleased balances. Well, we're generally going to point you to ROI, and then now for those on SL 2011, Quick Query as well. What's new, what's old? This is an interesting thing that you might not even think about. You know, who are the new customers? Who did we just add this month? Who are the ones that have, who's been the longest active customer? Or, hey, how long have they been a customer with us? Which you might not think to look at, but bio allows you to really kind of slice and dice the information. And it provides a lot of nice out-of-the-box things to be able to show you things that you might not be thinking about. So definitely worth a look there. So those were kind of our quick walkthrough of some examples of where we see situation and where we think that some of your solutions are. So as you're running into similar things, that's where kind of our suggestions there. Now, for a reference, we've got a couple here to show you about where we kind of came up with our thoughts on what are the best ways to do this. So for example, if you are doing some type of formats or subtotal report, we would generally push you towards the ROI or Crystal type of reports. In Quick Queries, out of the box right now, you can't really do formatting. You can move things around, but you really can't format. You can't do subtotals or any of that things in Quick Query out of the box. Your business analyzer, could you maybe make something? Sure, but out of the box, you're going to really rely on someone to create an SSRS report to do that. And then, of course, if you're doing subtotals, that type of items, we would use Management Reporter. The next, obviously, for financial reporting, you can see our selections there. If you're doing transactional type of reporting, again, ROI and Quick Query probably your best bets, but you do have the abilities to do it in those other areas to customize them as you need. For trending, bio, charts and graphs, bio, we also give that little nod to BA as well. So definitely Business Analyzer can do graphs, but if you are looking for trending, you're going to have to do a little bit of building of the trending on your own. Doesn't mean you can't do it. For bio, a lot of this stuff comes right out of the box. And lastly, if you're exporting data, which one of these items can export? Well, you can see it across the board. You can do that, again, Business Analyzer asterisk, because you would have to actually get to the actual SSRS report to be able to get the data out, but you could go ahead and export some of that information out. Now the question is around customizing. For all these different options that you just talked about, Jeff, if I want to add something, change something to it, what do I need to keep in mind? Which obviously would probably definitely influence which one of these you chose to create reports. So, like for example, if you're adding something to an existing report, if it's ROI, you do need to have someone actually open up the report. Whether it's Crystal or SRS and you want to add a new field, someone has to do it. They have to understand that. That's the same with adding a new field. They're going to need to know how to do it, but also might need to do some changes to your current query to get the data you need. With Quick Query, what's nice about it? Well, there is a built-in column chooser. So if the field is already being used in Quick Query, you can just go ahead and add it by right-clicking on the column chooser and adding it. If you are using Business Analyzer, again, you're going to have to make a change. Again, you'll need to have someone write a report. With Bio, again, kind of like Quick Query, a lot of that stuff's built in, so you just can add, drag and drop, add and remove fields kind of on the fly. And of course, with Management Reporter, you're given a tool that will help you build that. So it's a build. Not only is it a way to view things, it's also a way to build things as well. So you'll see this are kind of our different items here. Again, creating new reports, kind of be the same across the board. If it's brand new, you're going to have someone who knows how to do a little bit of work. Obviously, Management Reporter's built to make it a little easier because it's built for the end users. If you want to, rename, remove things, swap fields, well, you can go ahead with a Quick Query and add and remove, rename fields and remove them. You can do that in Bio as well. And also, if you want to swap fields, well, you can do a little bit of moving in Quick Query, but really, if you wanted to get interactive with your reports, Bio is your choice. And the last one here is around licensing and access. So if you're using ROI, well, if you're using the full user license and you're an SL, well, of course you need to be logged in to use it. Same with the Quick Query product. As far as Business Analyzer goes, well, you really, at a minimum, just need the light user license. The asterisk put under full user license just means that if you happen to already have a full user license, you can get access to it as well. Same with your Management Reporter. As BA, you're going to have a license to get into Management Reporter. But of course, if you already have a full user license for Dynamics SL, you can get into it as well. And then there is a Bio that has its own product-specific license to it as well. And access, okay, that's my licensing. Access-wise, again, ROI, you're going to be either in the Rich Client or you're going to be in Business Portal. Quick Query, you're going to have to be in the Rich Client. With BA, again, it's outside. It's either Internet Explorer or standalone, depending on how you're using it. Same with Bio. You're going to have your own viewer that's usually either standalone or you can use the built-in viewer through Internet Explorer. And then Management Reporter as well. You have the ability to view the information through its own custom viewer, but also through the Internet Explorer as well. So that's our little brief discussion on reporting wars. It gave us a good chance to kind of show you guys all those different reporting options. We went through some examples of what works, what we suggested. Again, you might have a different opinion, but there are suggestions on how to use those. And lastly, you gave you some references. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Melanie will be providing this to you if you need the copy of that. But with that, we're going to go ahead and start taking questions. So I'm going to go take a look at Melanie. I see a couple here. And make sure I'm not missing any. Actually, I'm not seeing the questions. Can you see, do you see any questions on there right now?
I do. Bear with me here.
All right, because I'm looking. I know you said you gave me access rights to view them, but I do not see them. So if you
try now.
All right, there are our questions. So 1 second. Sorry to hold you guys up there while I go ahead and view them. Very good question. Here's a good question. The first question is, with Quick Query, any plans to offer subtotals and total functionality? It's a very good request. We have gotten that request before, and if you are not familiar with it, there is, if you go into Customer Source, there is a section on putting additional requests, additional items. That is definitely one that has been suggested. I'd love it if you went out and suggested it again. That helps me get these things to the top of the list. We are looking into potentially adding some abilities to do something like that. Right now, I cannot commit to that, but that's definitely one of the things we talked about in Quick Query is we're making some abilities to export data and make some linking to Excel. That's one area that we're going ahead to looking at as well. Can't give you full definition of what's going to be in there, if it's going to make the next version of SL, but that's definitely on our list of things to look in the future. All right. Next one, it says Business Analyst seems to only, I apologize, I can't quite read here, have company and date parameters. Let's see. Business Analyst seems to only have company and date parameters concerning exporting Quick Query report. Are others allowed? Okay, so those are two different areas. So Quick Query, so Business Analyst seems to only have, I apologize, company and date parameters concerning exporting Quick Query reports. So in Business Analyzer, really, you're not exporting data usually out of Business Analyzer. If you're in Business Analyzer, you are drilling back into an SSRS report, and then based obviously on how you're rating the SSRS report, you might have it set so you could actually export the data. So let's see, other things here, maybe I'm going to read it the other way. So in a Quick Query, you can use many different parameters. Any field that's in your Quick Query can be your parameters, and then you can export the data. So I'm not quite sure I answered your question or read it correctly. If you still have that question, feel free to email the MS Events or email Melanie, and we will get that answer to you. Couple more here. I know we're getting ready to run out of time. Just to reiterate a couple, I saw a couple other questions. I'm just going to summarize them because we're running out of time. One, most of the features I showed you today, again, you have to be on at least Microsoft Dynamics SL 2011. The Business Analyzer and the Quick Query enhancements, you do need to be on SL 2011 Feature Pack 1. So you need to be on at least Feature Pack 1 to take advantage of them. The bio works with SL 2011. ROI, obviously, you're familiar with that. That works with previous versions, but you have that as well. Next question, let's see. Next thing I wanted to ask was around, again, let me see, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this and say this out loud at the same time. It doesn't seem like I'm seeing that anymore. Okay. So I apologize for that. So, but based on the information, hopefully you guys have got some great information on the different options. Melanie, can they use this event's email to go ahead and ask more questions after the event?
Definitely, please do.
Okay.
So if there's anything that comes up after we've ended, I think of another question or anything like that, feel free to email the msdynamicsevents@gmail.com. We can always follow up with you. I'd like to thank you, Jeff, for presenting, and all the attendees for taking time out of your day to attend our Dynamics Downloads webinar. We do have the session recorded, and we hope to have it available for viewing in the near future on our Dynamics Downloads channel on YouTube. So you can look forward to seeing that out there as well. And just a heads up, our next Dynamics Downloads webinar is going to be on Wednesday, September 18th from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The topic will be 50 tips in 50 minutes, and it's going to include topics across all Microsoft Dynamics SL modules. And it's just going to provide you with inside knowledge on how to work better and faster in Microsoft Dynamics SL. So we look forward to having you at that event as well. So again, thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone for attending.